There is a life outside of what you're doing. There is a way to do it. You just have to look at what you want to do, make a game plan, and do one little step every single day. Even if you don't feel like it, make those steps of sending an email, reading a page of a book, signing up for a class. Those things are small things that pay dividends, because what happens is you have to set out consciously and say, I'm going to make a change. What is that change going to entail? And you're going to have to take little steps every day. You're always going to be scared. I'm still scared about, someone may never call me again. That little fear is a good thing to turn into a strength, because it's going to mean, okay, I can't control what happens externally, but I can control how prepared I am for it.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another knowledge bomb episode of Lead to Greatness, where we believe in helping others reach their greatest potential and together change the world. Today on Lead to Greatness, we have Tommy Honton. If it's your first time joining us, please consider subscribing and hit that notification bell and hit that like button. This will be greatly appreciated in helping getting out this content to great leaders and great individuals like yourself. This is Cedric Francis, and you're listening to Lead to Greatness.
Hi everyone, I am Tommy Honton. I am an experienced designer. And what I say, and people are like, what the heck is that? Basically, I make experiences, everything from escape rooms to themed entertainment you might see at a theme park, theater, plays, video games, technology. It's sort of all under the same banner of making stories and games that you can play with stories that are impactful. In college, I was studying psychology and classics, and because I love the subjects, and I loved, the idea of learning how people think. And, the human psychology was really fascinating, but I didn't like the career implications of it. I always loved entertainment growing up. I always loved storytelling. But I think coming from my parents who were, very supportive of the arts, but were also practical. And, when I was a kid, I'd be like, I want to be an actor. And I would see their eyes like, roll or be like, oh boy, better not. So I was always geared towards arts as a hobby and creativity as a hobby and going for something a little bit more practical. Yeah. But in college, I just kept finding the vibe of telling stories. And after I sort of looked at my future, it's like, I don't want to spend a number of years in grad school trying to do something with a psych degree or with classics, having to go get a master's or a PhD to teach or something or do research. I want to make something. And so I took a writing course in college, and my initial path was coming to LA to do writing for film and TV. Yeah. And so, there's not a lot of cities that you can really break into that entertainment field. Maybe New York, maybe Chicago, but LA is kind of the place you have to go. Yeah. So I came out here from the Midwest and started writing and slowly sort of got embroiled in the film and entertainment industry. But I also got really frustrated. I got pretty despondent and stuck. I wasn't really making a lot of progress. I was working at Disney. I was, writing on the side with a writing partner. And it was not what I came out to do. I didn't come out to be in meetings all day and, sit in sort of a very bureaucratic, kind of difficult workplace. And I was like, God, I'm not doing what I want to do. Yeah. And then I started seeing escape rooms and immersive entertainment pop up. And I'm like, oh, there's something here. There's something in this that just really made me think back to the sort of, doe-eyed, innocent youth that I was when I moved out here. Yeah. That was like, this is the stuff that really moves me. And I can't be the only one. It was a very new field. There wasn't really a lot of money being put into it at the scale it is now. Yeah. And I was just like, I want that to be my job. And little by little, I began meeting people in that space, making connections, reaching out to people, and little by little, doing some work in it, designing. And I had grown up doing scavenger hunts and telling stories and doing theater. So it wasn't like I came from nowhere, but it was a chance to apply the writing and storytelling I've been developing in film, but in a different way. Yeah. And combining it with my passion, for arts, entertainment, the stuff I grew up doing. And I got fired. And that really pushed me to be like, okay, where am I going to go? Am I going to go back to what I was doing? Just being stuck, trying the same thing over and over? Or can I try to do the thing that I'm passionate about? And let's see how long it takes, because there is no track for this. There is no, go to school, go in training. No, there's like, you have no guarantees. It's scary. You're blazing a trail. But I'm like, I didn't sit through 8 years of unhappiness to not try to be happy.
I want to Talk about this just a little bit, because that's someone right now that's on the fence. They've been rattling on the fence, on the top of the fence, going back and forward. The fence is moving back and forward. Every time the wind blows, they're moving forward. They go right back, and they stuck on the fence. Some have been stuck on the fence for 5 years or even longer. What is that thing? I want you to talk to that individual right now that maybe feel like that they're stuck and they're scared to take that risk. What would you tell them right now?
I can empathize because that was me. I was on that fence. I would go to work. I'd be pissed off. I'd be, you know what? Screw this place. I'm going to get out of here.
Yeah.
And then you look at what it's like to get out of here. And what does that mean? You're not going to do it in a day. You get scared. You're like, well, I'll just write it out, because what I'll say is you're not going to do it in a day. Don't do what I did, which is getting fired. Fired forces your hand.
Yeah.
I was privileged enough that I had some savings, but I can tell you, I wiped my savings out. I got into credit card debt. I had to do what I did, and it worked out because I was able to get rid of it. I'm debt free. Like that's the point where it's like, okay, cool. I was able to get through it. But so don't do it. Don't get forced in a corner, but don't look at it like you're going to get out in a day. You're not, but you can get out. It just takes that planning. And that's where people, I think, get frustrated and scared, because I was that same position where plan. Think about what do you want to do and make a plan and stick with it. It's the idea that you're not going to climb a mountain in a single day. You got to start somewhere. And that's going to start with you making a conscious choice to be like, what am I going to do? Whether that's job training for something else, whether that's reaching out and doing a light dip in the water to meet people who are in the field you want to go into. All that stuff is doable with another job, and you can slowly do it. And it's the idea is, you don't want to get good at quitting. If you try something and quit it, you're going to get good at one thing, and you're going to get good at quitting. And you can try something, it's not for me. And that's easy. It's easy to get in that habit of trying. I'm going to try another job. I'm going to look for other work, and then give up.
Yeah.
And my thing I will say is there is a life outside of what you're doing. There is a way to do it. You just have to look at what you want to do, make a game plan, and do one little step every single day. Even if you don't feel like it, make those steps of sending an email, reading a page of a book, just signing up for a class. Those things are small things that pay dividends, because what happens is when you're not paying attention, when you're in cruise control mode, it's like being in a cartoon. I always joke. It's like feeling like you're walking 5 miles and then you look down and you're on a treadmill and the background's just been looping, it's the illusion of progress that you're making. No, you have to set out consciously and say, I'm going to make a change. What is that change going to entail? And you're going to have to take little steps every day. And you're going to find these little habits in anything. It's a habit, whether it's to work out, lose weight, eat healthy, the stuff people don't want to do. Yeah. It's all about the habit building and getting out of unhappiness in a job or in a position. All of that is about finding what you want to do. And again, it will take you time, but I promise you, a month into something, you're going to feel more knowledgeable. You're going to have a game plan, and you will always have that moment where you're still scared, but you can be knowledgeable, because you're always going to be scared. I'm still scared about, someone may never call me again. But that little fear is a good thing to turn into a strength, because it's going to mean, okay, I can't control what happens externally, but I can control how prepared I am for it, And it's those little things that are just changing that perspective and trying little things day by day. Being courageous about something is not the absence of fear. It's doing it in spite of the fear.
Yes.
Fear is rational. It's normal to be afraid of stuff. I'm afraid of bears and sharks and running in front of traffic. That's normal. It's your body saying, you got to be alive.
Yes.
There are other fears, like looking like an idiot in front of people. Is my fly unzipped? Did I say the wrong thing? Those are also fears, but those are fears that are not going to kill you. If I say the wrong thing, I'm not going to burst into flames. And it's learning to separate the difference between fears that are going to kill you, the ones that are rational. Don't step in front of traffic. Don't go give a bear a hug. But learning to put yourself out there, email someone who you're like, oh God, this person's going to think I'm an idiot. Why should this person's not going to respond to me? And it's like, cool. Okay. So this person does think you're an idiot. Great. Who cares? This person doesn't respond to you. You're still alive. And eventually someday someone will respond to you. Like, that's the idea of taking that risk. The risk is minimal. And in my mind, the big one is quitting a job and making a career transition. And I always liken that to, that's jumping over a cliff. Now, if you do it like I did, where you had very little preparation, your hand was forced, you're doing that under the worst conditions. You're blindfolded, it's windy, the gap is huge. But for every little step you take of networking with people and learning about the job you want, making plans, building up some savings, whatever it is you're helping to prep yourself, that is you closing the gap of that chasm. That's you putting some springs on your feet. That's you getting rid of the wind. And it's still going to be a risk. Nothing's without risk, but it's doing that with informed, information that's helping you make that jump, make that risk a little bit less scary.
That is good. That is good. You mentioned something. You said it 3 times already. You talked about people, finding people, finding people, finding people. And even what you're doing now with the escape room. And I want you to also explain a little bit about the escape room for people that may not be familiar with escape room. But you said something, you found a partner to go in this thing with. And why did you choose a partner and not go in it by yourself? And why did you choose the partner that you chose to make this thing happen?
Yeah, so I'll get into escape room in a little bit. I think for me, I started out writing, and I came out with a little bit of a chip on my shoulder, thinking I was top stuff, that I was gonna go out and meet people, and they'd give me a big bag of money and make movie. It didn't happen that way.
Yeah.
And I realized that my social game is almost, at the point, it was negative, because I was very socially awkward. And I didn't really know how to engage with people in a room. I didn't know what networking was. I thought it was for people that were just stuck up, people that use people. I had all these preconceptions because I was socially uncomfortable with myself. And so going into it, a buddy of mine who, I had met, basically said, you should consider working with someone. And I was insulted. I was like, what do you mean I should work with someone? Like, I'm a writer. Like, I don't want to write with someone else. What the hell? Like, what is that? He's like, no. He's like, you're good at some stuff, but there's some stuff you need to work on. And I think this guy, like, wait, you have someone in mind? You're matchmaking me with another writer? Like, what the hell? And he's like, just meet the guy. And we met. His name was Don, and he and I got along pretty well. And I read a script of his, and he was a good writer. And we got along. And I saw what he had. He had a lot of pizzazz and knew how to get people, how dialogue worked. He knew how to handle a lot of great elements. And I felt, that we could get along well. So we worked on scripts together and wrote together. And the whole time, Don and I would talk about writing, but we spent so much time together writing and going into meetings together that, we also became friends. And we started just sharing our frustrations with film and TV. And when I saw escape rooms becoming a thing, I reached out to people in that space, and I was just like, teach me. Like, I don't care. I'll get you coffee. I want to be in the room. I want to help. Here's some stuff I used to design as a kid or when I was in college. And these people are like, whoa, this stuff is decent. Like, yeah, let's chat. So a guy offered to mentor me, and he's like, would you want to open a business? And I had never thought of that. I'm like, I'm a writer. I don't open businesses. But in realizing this could be a chance to really get a hold of something, I was scared being alone because I was so comfortable working with Don. And he was the first person I called because I'm like, we already have a rapport. We get along well. I trust the guy. And, we wrote scripts together. We didn't own a business together, but I knew we could figure that part out because I trusted him.
Yeah.
We had very similar, and in my mind, we were opening a business and also telling a story together. Escape rooms often have a narrative or a thing around them. Like, we can tell stories in a different format. It's not a movie or TV show, but it's a space where we can tell a story. So Don said, I get it. I immediately see what you see. Let's do it. So to me, that was the first step, was getting to work with Don, because having a partner who you can trust and work with, and we have disagreements, but finding, I always found our disagreements made us stronger because, whenever we disagreed on something, we would discuss it. And it was never an ego thing. I was more than happy to admit I was wrong if it was for the benefit of the story or the business. But we found a way to really hone our disagreements when we were writing scripts. With a script, there's no stake. Naming a character something or having a character do or say something, those are the lowest stakes possible because it's not real life. It's just words on a page.
Yeah.
And we'd have a long debate over, well, this doesn't make sense for this character to do this, or this seems boring, and we discuss it. And then whatever was best for the story, we would agree on.
Yeah.
And so we already had that way of resolving issues, of just discussing it out. And in my mind, it was no longer a story, it was a business. And so that really helped our rapport because, again, we had disagreements, but it was always about testing out what's best for the business. And to me, that was key. The other aspect that really helped was learning how to actually network. And I did it by accident. When I was first out in LA, I would, think I was the smartest guy in the room, and I would want to prove it. And I'm like, how can I'm sitting in a, these events, these networking events for film and TV, 1,000 people in a giant room, auditorium with like 10 people on stage, agents, managers, producers giving a talk. And I'm sitting there going, how can I prove I'm better than everyone? The wrong attitude to have, but I was an arrogant kid. Yeah. And I would look and go like, I'm going to have coffee with everyone on that stage. I didn't know them, didn't know how to reach out to them, but I figured out how. I figured out, big companies, their email addresses are pretty easy to figure out. And I made a little spreadsheet, and I would look at I had the program of who was speaking, and I would sit in the back of the room and just jot down their emails. This is before smartphones, and I would sit down and write down, and okay. And I go home and I email them. And I get tons of email bounce backs, but one would go through, because I would try everything. I'd try like first name, dot last name, first initial last name, all these formats. And I would just say, hey, I saw you talking at this event. I'd love to get coffee sometime. And it happened. I got coffee with every single person on that stage.
Wow.
But here's the problem. I was young and stupid. I was a dog chasing a car. I was the dog that caught a car. I didn't know what to do. I'm a dog sitting in a driver's seat having coffee with people that should have not had coffee with me. I'm sitting there next to high profile producers, managers, people that, were very established in their careers. And they would sit down and we'd start chatting. And I realized I don't know what I'm doing here. After being discouraged in film and TV, I got that passion back because I'm like, I want to connect with people doing this cool stuff that I really love. And I realized when I sat next to them, I cared because I could say, how'd you get into this? And I realized, networking is meeting people that are doing stuff that you like and want to learn about. And then as soon as we were done chatting, I would say, I believe in what you're doing. How can I help? And I meant it in my heart. And I realized, oh, crap, I have to play this on hard mode because I can't fake that. I don't say that to people I don't believe in. Yeah. So that meant I could only network or meet people that I really connected with on a creative level or on, a social level who had the same values of doing good work and, supporting good people. Yeah. And so I realized, I never got that in film. I never did that entertainment. I didn't meet people like that. And that's how my career exploded, is because I met with anyone who interested me, anyone who was doing cool stuff. Well, I was just like, I want to get to know you. I want to learn what you're about. How can I support what you're doing? Here's what I'm doing. Let's keep chatting. And you do that enough times, you meet hundreds of people, and you become this entity that people start to understand that like, you're not just talking to talk. You're doing good work too. I believe in you. And they might call you for a favor, and you do that favor. And these people become your friends and your colleagues. And it's how I've gotten the majority of my work. I can trace almost every project I've done in the past 7 years to meeting people.
Oh, man. Tommy, this is good. This is good. And let's talk about some of the mistakes, and then what do you learn from the mistakes, and what made you a good or great networker now?
Yeah, I think it's really about, you have to give a poop about the person across from you. And I it's easy. We live in a world where, looking at like online dating, for example, the way apps and the way connections work with screen-based life we live is it's easy to be distracted. It's easy to set up a numbers game, just like online dating. You go on a date, you got 30 people on the app that could be perfect. And as soon as someone in front of you does one thing that bugs you, you're like, mentally you're checked out and you're thinking, but one of these 30 people on the map I'm messaging now, they're perfect. You get distracted with the person across from you. Yeah. And in my mind, you have to lose that mindset. If you're going to meet people and not focus on why you're there or give a chance to chat with them and learn, some people are awkward. I'm awkward. You have to learn to figure out, okay, let's chat. Let's have a talk and actually be curious about the person. Learn about what they're doing. Yeah. Why did you want to meet them? What are they doing? And find a way to just turn it on them. Learn their story. Yeah. Maybe the advice they're going to give you isn't applicable, may not apply to you, but still listen. Yeah. And then you can start to figure out, okay, what is there I can learn from this person? Is there any way you can help this person? Because people, and what networking really is truly about, is you listening to someone else, them listening to you, and finding ways to support each other. Whether that's, I'm really wanting to apply for a job at this company. My buddy works at that company. I can put in a good word for you. That can come out of just asking for help or saying, here's a problem I'm facing. Have you ever faced this? I got people I meet with all the time just to shoot the breeze and have a coffee. And, out of nowhere, I'll be like, yeah, I'm having a problem with this kind of employee. I had a problem with that last year. Here's how I dealt with it. You
Wow.
just you build this sort of knowledge base, and you have to be open with what are the problems you're facing. Now, don't be too explicit. You don't want to be like, well, I got a sore on my foot and I've got money problem. No, don't do that. But find a way to basically share what professional things you're dealing with. Be honest, and then when they share their problem, or if you say, "Is there anything I can do to help you?" Don't say that unless you mean it. Now, obviously, it's like, I got to move my house. Can you move it for me? Don't say yes unless you feel like helping them move.
Yeah.
But if someone says, I got a resume I'm going to be sending out, can you proofread it for me? I go like a second set of eyes. Yeah. If don't ever get taken advantage of. But if people ask you for help, do what you can. Yeah. And it goes a long way, because what's going to happen is they're going to think about, that guy shows up. He does the work. That's one thing, is just be present, be mindful, and just be a good, nice person. If that's not you, don't force it. People can tell when you're fake. Yeah. But if you do want to connect with people, especially those who are chasing the same things you are, that's huge. The other one is do work. If you want to do something, if you are, whatever job you're looking to do, and you're starting from scratch, or you have a little of experience, or whatever that might be, you got to do it. You got to prove it. And there's something about people wanting to work with doers. If you're sitting around waiting for something to happen, it's not. It may, but it probably isn't. But if you're going to go out there and be like, I want to be a chef, I want to be whatever. Okay, but how do people do that? If I'm going to be a chef, I got to cook. And you know what the best way to cook for other people? Have dinner parties. You don't spend a lot of money, have people over, cook for them. Go to cooking class, get a cookbook, watch YouTube videos, just cook all the time. You guys got to make stuff. And what's going to happen is, if you start doing the thing you're doing and refining and finding ways to get better, and sharing it with other people. Because guess what? If I want to be a chef, I would look up all the cooking schools in the city. I would find chefs that I love. I would go to restaurants that I love, and I'd email the people and say, and try to befriend anyone that works at a restaurant, and be like, I'd love to get your advice. I'd love to work here someday. And you know what? When you feel good about your food, cook for them. Show them you can. It's that kind of stuff that you just have to think about breaking down. How do I get work in front of people who know what that work is, who can give me feedback and notes, and see this person's trying and doing and growing, and they want to help out people, because people are selfish, even the nicest people, and people like to feel good about themselves. And if you meet someone who's like, this person's doing cool work, I want to help them, you want to give them that chance. People love helping people that deserve it. And if you prove that you are a mindful, kind person who's doing good work, people will pay attention. It just happens. You got to put yourself out there. That's the fear part. But to me, it's like, I wouldn't be here talking to you today if I had not put myself out there over and over again, and talk about other mistakes. Talk too much about myself, didn't pay attention to what they were doing, stuck my foot in my mouth, said the wrong thing. There was a time that early on in film, I was sitting down with a producer who had coffee with me. And he said, I'm working on a script and I would love to get your thoughts. And I thought, it's my chance. So he sends the script over, read it. It's a good script. It's kind of a Viking action movie, a little bit of mystery and intrigue. And he goes, who do you think would be good for this? And I stupidly, I didn't look this guy up. I just knew he was a producer. I said, anyone but Vin Diesel. I'm not a Vin Diesel fan. This is back before he broke out, but I was like, yeah, anyone but Vin Diesel. And he gave me a look. Turns out that was Vin Diesel's producing partner.
No way.
Yep. Guess who never spoke to me again?
Oh my goodness.
So be mindful. Don't say stuff like that. If you're going to say something, I would say genuinely, don't be negative. Even if you're sharing stuff that isn't you being negative, but it's commenting on something that's negative, people will associate that with you. Keep it light. You don't have to, I'm not saying put on a happy face and tap dance all the time, but don't just continually be negative too, because people associate that with you. And those are my only problems. I overshared, talked to myself, just was not aware of the conversation flow, got in my own head a lot, said the wrong thing. And it's easy. You're going to slowly learn, take a breath, listen to the person, put the burden on them, in the sense that let them steer the conversation, ask some questions, and just be quiet and listen and share when they ask you. But but you find that rhythm, you learn, you got to make those mistakes to realize, those mistakes aren't going to kill you. If I say the wrong thing in conversation, I'm not going to get burst into flames. You're just going to realize, oops, that person's not going to talk to me again, and laugh it off in a couple of years and hope that you've learned better.
Tommy, that is a load of knowledge bombs. Man, this is so great. This is so great. I'm looking at the time. I'm like, oh my goodness, man. There's so much information, so much value that you share with us on today. If someone wanted to connect with you and what you're doing, where should they go?
For me in particular, why I like escape rooms and why I like designing experiences for people, I like getting people to go have a break from life. Life can be hard. People need a break. Escape rooms and immersive entertainment is a way to step outside of your life for a little bit, save the world, be a hero. You can step into a story where you're being chased by a killer or disarming a bomb or being a superhero or slaying a dragon or finding a treasure. These moments are fun to do with people that you care about and get that break and that adrenaline that, you don't get the chance to do with family or friends as often as we'd like. And so the fact that I can make this stuff happen for people is amazing. And so what I would say to people is adrenaline experiences like that are so much fun to do with people you care about. People value moments now more than stuff. So whenever you're thinking about getting a gift for someone or you want to surprise someone, consider an escape room or a visit to a theme park or moments like that, because those memories, especially with kids and family, are the things that are going to last a lot longer than stuff. And as far as careers go, life is really short. We have no idea. No one has any guarantees on how long you have. Yeah. It's too short to not be happy. A lot of the stuff that makes us happy is stuff you do have some control over in some way. And if you don't have control over it, focus on what you do and make plans little by little by little by little. You're not going to conquer it in a day. And don't get fired like I did. If you can find a way to get out of a bad situation, make it better. It might take you 6 months or a year or 2. But if you make those steps, you connect with people. And I would say this, I challenge anyone who's unhappy listening to this right now. If you want to do something, look up online people that are doing it now and reach out. Just one. Keep emails short. Shorter emails are easy to respond to. Yeah. And just say, I like what you do. I'd love to learn more. Would you be down to meet up for a coffee, a phone call, a Zoom chat, 10 minutes, half an hour, whatever. And if they don't respond, find someone else. If they don't respond, find someone else. Because I promise you, someone will respond and you will learn. And that is the first step on a 10,000 mile journey you might take. And if people want to get a hold of me, my website is tommyhonton.com, and you can just Google me and read about some of the cool stuff I'm up to. I own an escape room called Stash House in Los Angeles. I've designed a couple dozen around the US and the world. I worked on themed entertainment projects all across the world as well. It's a joy and a privilege to be able to make things that can take you to other worlds and connect people, that make people excited to be with family and friends. It's a joy. So thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. Now, I looked at your website. Your website is amazing. It's like, your website, it takes you on a journey, just the website alone. I'm going down and scrolling by the website and I see these oval shapes going in. Man, this is amazing, man. Even your name, I love it. I love it. Check out the website. The website is full of creativity. On behalf of the Lead to Greatness community, I want to thank you so very much for taking time out of your busy schedule and adding value to us all.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So we want to thank you for joining us today on the Lead to Greatness podcast. And if this is your first time, don't forget to subscribe. Hit that like button, hit the notification bell so you won't miss any of these amazing episodes. And if you're on iTunes, go ahead and rate the podcast and leave a review. That helps get the word out to great leaders and entrepreneurs like yourself. So we want to thank you for joining us today. So remember, if you help others reach their greatest potential, together we can change the world. Peace.